facts. I wasn't speaking no faulty news or anything. You know what I mean? I was speaking all facts.
And your friend Bernie, how did that come about? Like you guys were having a lot of attention with the IG?
No, because he seen that I was getting irritated and we was irritated. He said, you know what I mean? He grabbed my phone, wanted to go on Instagram Live, and I just let him do it. And I was laughing at him at the same time. But Bernard, you know what I mean? He knows boxing in and out. You know, I haven't met not one person to date that knows more about boxing than that man. Like that dude, ever since, you know, I can remember, he'll tell you who was champion, when they was champion, what belt they had, and when, all the way back to Jack Johnson
Shout out to Raquel Miller. We out here, baby.
Oh,
Let's do it.
From the Midwest, man.
You know.
She West Coast. That's just, you know what I mean? But we Midwest.
Now, of course, you know, I wanted to ask, you know, you mentioned you made a phone call with Spence, and I just wanted to know, like, how that conversation went.
And you seen how it went. You seen what transpired on Twitter, and I told him I was going to call him, so I called him up. You know what I mean? We talked briefly, and you know what I mean? That was that.
You know, we're getting closer to that, you know, to that.
And listen, man, when things fall in place, and that fight going to happen.
And then another Twitter moment, Manny Pacquiao added you, and you added him back. Like, you know, is that the fight also that you're looking at, all the champions?
And I'm looking at all of them, you know what I mean? Them the two 1 and 2s or 2 and 1, however you want to put it. Fights that I really want at this point in time in my career, being that.
Those are the words of Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford was just saying, hey, I was speaking the facts. I wasn't blasting anyone. I was really just speaking my mind. It was the truth. These guys made excuses why they didn't want me. These guys pretended like the WBO didn't exist, which they did. They totally disregarded, ignored the fact that Terence Crawford was a force in the welterweight division. These were all facts. Errol Spence claimed that he was his own boss. That was a lie. These are all facts. So the phone call transpired that got the ball rolling, that got the ball where it needs to be at this point of time. Terence Bud Crawford has did everything that he could possibly do to make the fight. If the fight doesn't happen, it's not Terence Crawford's fault. It's not Bob Arum's fault. It's on the other side of the street, which the people that created the other side of the street are the reason why the fight won't happen. And that's bottom line. He also said he wanted Pacquiao and Garcia because Garcia is regarded, ranked 3, 2, or 1 with the WBO. Okay, if he wants it, he can get it. But remember, Danny Garcia turned down that fight for $3 million a couple years ago. So those guys over there, if they want to fight Terence Crawford, they know where to find him. Okay, he's easy found. And he's not a shit talker. He let his boy Bernard, he explained that. And his Bernard did break down so many people and what they did in their chances to fight Terence Crawford and what they chose to do instead of fight Terence Crawford. He just counterpunched and broke it down to everybody that should have fought Terence Bud Crawford. Okay? So that was worth mentioning, you know. So Terence Bud Crawford is just showing that, yeah, he's the best. If they want to fight the best, they know where to go. That's pretty much simple, people. You know, Terence Bud Crawford is the type of guy, he doesn't talk a lot of smack. That's not him, you know, but he gets aggravated. He gets annoyed. So, you know, there is levels, or there is something. There is that line that you can cross, and he will go ham. Like he went ham on Errol Spence and made Errol Spence like, hey, call me. Or matter of fact, I'm going to call you, or however that went, you know, because it was like, okay, dude, you're killing me on Twitter. You're killing me. You're killing me, man. You're killing me. He killing him. He was getting killed on Twitter. That's why he was like, look, man, just call me. Because he knew the things that he could say to defend himself were weak. They had no backbone. Okay? They had nothing to them. Because he knew, well, look, let me get Terence Crawford's ass off social media, because this is starting to create buzz that I don't need in my career right now. Because, believe it or not, Errol Spence's career is being ran by Haymon. Okay? Okay, so they're trying to make him this super guy, this superstar. They would rather want the Pacquiao Errol Spence fight way before they want the Terence Crawford fight, because Terence Crawford is a threat. Let's face it, people. If he fights Terence Crawford beats him, there's no Pacquiao fight. Errol Spence wants to ultimately be like Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman ain't going to fight nobody else. Why? Because Keith Thurman got eventually he got what he wanted. He couldn't get Floyd, so he got Pacquiao. He fought Pacquiao, he came up short. Oh well. He got his bread, he made his money. He's going on, he's making babies. He's cashing checks and he's having sex. That's all Keith Thurman's doing. Errol Spence wants the same thing. Al Haymon wants the same thing for Errol Spence, because Al Haymon is in charge of Errol Spence's career. Okay? That's what's happening with Errol Spence. So if you guys think that fight will happen, I would love for that fight to happen, because Terence Crawford is in his prime. He's 32. Errol Spence is in his prime despite the accident. Now that's a whole nother issue. He's in his prime. That fight could happen. That fight should happen. But will it happen? We don't know. We honestly don't know. But I think and I feel that Errol Spence wants to be more like Keith Thurman. And a lot of people want to be where Keith Thurman is now, right? Because Keith Thurman got what he eventually wanted. He got the cash cow. He got that legend, okay? And one thing about Pacquiao, he's that type of dude has done what most legends haven't done, didn't do, couldn't do while they were his age. Think about it. Julio Cesar Chavez came up short against De La Hoya twice. Okay? Pernell Whitaker, he lost to Pernell Whitaker. They called it a draw. It was a loss. Okay? He couldn't do those things later in his career. And really, he wasn't even out of his prime when he fought Pernell Whitaker, so I can't say that. Forgive me, Pernell. God bless the dead. You know, just like Julio Cesar Chavez couldn't take out Costa Tszyu. Costa Tszyu destroyed him, right? Marco Antonio Barrera could not beat Amir Khan, right? It was not going to happen. Eric Morales could not take out Danny Garcia, despite him knowing ions above that kid. He could not take him out. Manny Pacquiao's taking out these young guys. That's what makes him so great. That's what makes him the legend, okay? So people want a piece of that. Why Pacquiao's still hot? Why Pacquiao's still active and doing the things that he's doing? Doing the things that he did against Keith Thurman. Even though Keith Thurman got in that ass a little bit. Split decision loss. Not bad for Keith Thurman. But he took his first L. Okay, so what does that mean? That means Errol Spence, I think, since he's on that side of the street, since he created that terminology, okay, he would want Pacquiao first. Then if he does get past Pacquiao and beats Pacquiao, which a lot of people have favored him to do because he's a younger, stronger, taller fighter, right? Southpaw versus Southpaw, it would be very interesting. And if he does beat Pacquiao, it won't be lightly. Okay, it'd be another Sean Porter kind of fight, maybe, right? Then they'll take on Terence Crawford because they know there's nowhere else to go. Nowhere else to go. You know, and it also depends on Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford keeps winning and keeps beating these guys, knocking them out like he did Mean Machine. He just kind of went off the rocker. He went off the beaten path. He could have outboxed Mean Machine, but he brawled with Mean Machine. You know, and I think in that fight, he showed his frustration during this whole thing. Like, dude, you shouldn't be. The mandatory is the mandatory, but I want Errol Spence because unifications trump all. We know that, right? And I think that was him expressing his frustration towards the fighters that he wanted to fight in this division, where he comes and nobody seems to want to fight. So that's what we have with Terence Bud Crawford. You know, Errol Spence just said he would love to fight Pacquiao. So you know that phone call now doesn't mean as much since Pacquiao has called out both of these guys, right? Think about it. I like to fight Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Boom. Errol Spence is on that shit. Why? Because he knows that's the fight that Uncle Al wanted him to fight anyway. So he's following orders, right? And so at the end of the day, so you can't really get pissed off at Errol Spence at the end of the day if he is a person that doesn't call his own shots. He just pretends to. But a lot of those people pretend to call their own shots because they want to feed their own ego. They want to feed the public that they're their own man, they're their own entity, they got their own promotional company and their own business. All that bullshit is bullshit. Okay? Uncle Al owns it all. Al Haymon runs all those guys. He tells them who to fight and when to fight. And I think in this case, Pacquiao just cracked it open by saying, I would like to fight Errol Spence. Boom. That fight will be made before a Terence Crawford fight. Like I said, Terence Crawford is a threat to the welterweight division. Because if any of those dudes lose, if he fought Terence Crawford and lost to Terence Crawford, there's no Pacquiao fight. Pacquiao could fight Amir Khan or anybody else he wanted to fight. He could fight Danny Garcia. He could fight Mikey Garcia. But Mikey Garcia's over to the zone, right? So, you know, we can put that on ice or whatnot. But then by that time, it's only a one contract deal with Mikey Garcia. So if he does beat Jesse Vargas, he could go right back and fight Manny Pacquiao. Why not? Right? And Errol Spence knows. And Al Haymon, most importantly, knows. If he loses to Terence Crawford, they lose everything. They lose the WBC and the IBF. And they never had the WBO. Oh, but that's right. They pretended like the WBO didn't exist anyway, so what's the point? So, anyway, that's my counterpunch on Terence Crawford. He was speaking facts. You guys tell me what you think about Terence Crawford's comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching. Peace.